Well, did you see the big show Tuesday? Huh? What a show that was at the Senate Judiciary Committee with Bill Gates, with Barksdale, with McNeely. Why in the political arena, though? Well, we're going to get some insights from our guest. He's Dr. James Brent, Assistant Professor of Political Science, San Jose State University. Good to have you with us. What's the purpose of a Senate Judiciary Committee listening to debates on these fellows?
Well, ostensibly, the Senate will hold hearings because they're interested, presumably, in legislation somewhere down the line. But in this instance, I would say there's probably other things going on here. I mean, one thing is, I think that the members of the Senate, they like to have publicity. And as a matter of fact, this was actually the second in a series of 8 hearings that this committee is going to be having on the same subject. But you notice nobody really heard about the first set of hearings. It's only when you bring in the star power that public attention seems to focus. And believe it or not, senators like public attention.
No, yeah. I wasn't aware of that.
So of course, having Bill Gates is the star, having them up there, this gives them an opportunity to come front and center. Of course, this helps them, presumably, with their re-election prospects. Of course, Hatch can go back to his people there in Utah and say, look, I'm looking out for the emerging high-tech companies that are here. So there's some of that going on. But if you have a less cynical attitude, I think you'd say that basically, I think the members of the Senate are interested in educating themselves. They get onto the Senate Judiciary Committee not because they know a whole lot about high tech, but because they tend to be lawyers. So I think that they're wanting to know a little bit more about these kinds of issues. And I think perhaps the most important thing to come out of it is they're wanting to educate the public.
How about the fact that we had both the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Justice Department doing things in the same week? Coincidence?
Well,
unusual?
No, I mean, I would say that the two are related, so in that respect, they're not coincidental. I mean, political scientists know that policymaking is a process, and although Congress is the one that writes the laws, they're in an environment where they have to deal with pressures from the president, from interest groups, from constituents, so on and so forth. And so certain things may not come to their mind unless something is happening out there in society. So I think that probably what's going on with the Justice Department was the impetus for holding these hearings. But I wouldn't say that there's any sort of collusion going on.
Okay, very briefly, short-term impact, long-term impact, what could they be?
Well, I think short-term, there's probably not likely to be a whole lot of impact for a number of reasons. Number one, Hatch and many of the other senators tried to make it clear that we're not interested in legislation. And Hatch, I think, said that 2 or 3 times in the bit that I was able to watch. And in addition, you've got all of the people that were on the panel were saying we're not interested in more legislation. So when you've got the senators and the people who come before them saying we don't want new legislation, I think that that's probably a pretty good sign that we're not going to be seeing legislation at least anytime soon.
Yeah, so Gates, sounds like Gates won, huh?
Well, if the status quo advantages him, then yeah, I would say that he won.
We could sit here, of course, and talk forever. We'll have to have you back and talk more when the next chapter evolves, if you will. Thank you. Dr. James Brent, Assistant Professor of Political Science, San Jose State. We'll be back with more right after this.